I am in favor of protests and demonstrations regardless. You guys, as you probably know, I don't mind if it's like a libbed up protest. At the end of the day, I still think it's good.
One of MLK's.
But here, this is a very short piece about MLK and what he was doing and what he was utilizing in terms of like optics. That it's a type of it's an attitude that I never really considered as well. Here.
Favorite tools to use was violence, right? Like he never once led a nonviolent protest. People getting beat within an inch of their life for ordering food is violent, right? But he was a mastermind at manipulating the visuals of violence. He understood that watching black people get beat up on live television is not an effective strategy at making racist people any less racist. But you, as a black person, having to watch your defenseless mother and aunties get hosed down is actually an extremely effective tactic at enraging both you and your local community to violence, right? There's a reason why after every major MLK city and peaceful protest got televised, there would be widespread violent uprisings, both large and small, all around the country. And this threat of widespread violence is what caused change. And there has been a lot of historical propaganda that goes into portraying the civil rights era as being the product of white empathy and not fear, the dominant group in America.
Yeah, it wasn't those protests and like black people getting their asses beat at the civil rights sit-ins and whatnot that were inherently nonviolent. On the protester side, but there was tremendous violence against them on the police side. The violence in that regard and the imagery in that regard was not for white people to fucking feel sympathetic to black people. They didn't give a shit at all, which of course, as you guys know, MLK also openly talked about in terms of like white empathy and how white moderates were a significant hurdle to developing a coherent, successful civil rights struggle that had some kind of motion. Yeah, white moderates were like, no, we're not on board with that at all. Now, of course, also MLK does not work single-handedly with like on his own without Malcolm X, without the Black Panther movement, right? Without the Black Panther Party, and those guys were definitely not nonviolent. They understood that there was a necessity in certain instances for a little bit of militancy, recognizing perfectly that no matter how much militancy they applied, it would never reach the standard of the state, which is true. Like what they did, even if they were to get into like shootouts every now and then, or engage in the act of self-defense against the state that was like brutalizing black people, ultimately none of that would reach the standard of systematized violence that the state was enacting with regular frequency under the auspices of lawfare. State has obviously a monopoly on violence. But in any case, point is, it wasn't about garnering attention from and sympathy from white people, even though that is how people talk about it. Like that's literally like the most famous way of approaching it, which is to whitewash the things that took place during the civil rights struggle, and then making it seem as though it was like white people's sympathies that finally gave black people some legal parity. That wasn't the case, obviously, and this perfectly demonstrates that too.
We're never overwhelmingly in favor of any of MLK's protest tactics, right? He forced their hand. You can either accept the nonviolent terms I'm offering, or you're going to be forced into a violent reality. It's not an appeal to empathy, it's extortion. And I think particularly towards the back end of his life, he started to make certain realizations, right? That you cannot argue with somebody in a language they do not speak. You wouldn't argue to an Italian man in French. You wouldn't speak to a German man in Spanish. So why are you trying to speak to a country that was built on the back of slavery and violent revolutions with peace, right? And I mean, we kind of seen how that ended, right? I don't know, y'all. I just think if your oppressor agrees with your method of protesting, you're not protesting, you're loitering.
Yeah. This is why I always say, like, there's a place for everyone in this, okay? Like, even the liberals, the Barbers and the Deborahs coming out and showcasing their discontent with the current administration. That's good. That's good. Okay? So you won't see me shitting on those guys. Like, I'll make some jokes every now and then, but obviously, like, I'm in favor of that. I'm in support of that. I've talked about how I'm in support of all of that. But also, you won't see me poo-pooing other methods of protesting and trying to dismantle or dismantle certain pieces of the state, or maybe become undeniable, become a real nuisance, muck up the works, gum up the works to the best of your ability. Like, these are things that people have done throughout history, throughout successful protest movements, throughout successful revolutionary movements. You can play a role in this. Just don't stand in opposition towards people that have similar goals that you have, right?